there's one region in India where the Bharatiya Janata Party and the National Democratic Alliance has made unprecedented gains, it is in the 8 states of India's northeast. The Northeast Democratic Alliance is in power in all states in this region. Will that translate into big NEDA wins across many of the 25 Lok Sabha seats in these states? Or will the Congress and regional parties in each of these states hold the BJP back after the controversy over the Citizenship Amendment Bill and other specific state issues? Joining us to talk about that are Karma Paljor, Editor-in-Chief, EastMojo.com, political analyst Deepak Diwan, and Adam Saprinsanga, editor of the Frontier Dispatch. Karma, let me start with you. You had the sense that over the last 3-4 years, much political ground was covered by the BJP. Was that arrested, interrupted by what happened with the CAB, or was that something that just lasted for a particular period in time?
As far as BJP making headway into Northeast is concerned, we have to look at it from a different perspective. What has really happened in the Northeast is that BJP has come in and then made alliances and brought, in fact, to use the word, bought many of the leaders. So what has happened usually, it happens in the Northeast, is that those who are in the Congress have changed sides and become the BJP. I mean, BJP really as a party, I don't think it really has, because grassroots, you've not seen BJP grow from the grassroots as a party. So what is done is come in, set up alliances, one, then, taken leaders from other parties, made them join the BJP. They are the ones who are representing. Look at what happened in Arunachal. The entire Congress moved into BJP and suddenly overnight became the BJP. Similarly, the same thing has happened in Tripura as well. So you have to look at it holistically as far as the BJP coming into the Northeast is concerned. Now, has the CAB made any dent at all? The second question that you posed, I don't think it's made any dent because, right in the beginning, we did see a lot of, now I can speak for Assam because we did see a lot of protests here on the ground. And when we saw the protests, we thought that, yes, this is definitely going to make the dent. But as the, the elections fever caught on, we saw that there were alliances made. AGP made alliances with BJP. Now, that was one party which had primarily opposed and again, got away from the alliance with the BJP in the state. So that just showed that people had, very short memory and they've moved on now. There are other issues that are important to them.
Adam, I wanted to come to you about the point Karma raised. In other than Assam to an extent and Tripura, which were the party getting to power via an election route, in much of the others, it was pretty much an accumulation of MLAs that were from other parties. Primarily so, I just wanted to go state by state now. In Arunachal, the fact that you're 5 years now down from the last assembly election as well, what's the credibility that any of these parties carry with MLAs that have hopped sides and entire lock, stock and barrel move to the BJP? How do parties go to voters saying, elect us because here's the party we'll be representing, with perhaps voters having no belief that that might be the case?
Well, it also again depends from state to state. For example, in Arunachal and perhaps also in Nagaland, there is always a lot of talk about how it's more or less money power that does the trick for parties. There are also some other states where you have very strong regional powers that can pull their own off against national parties, be it the Congress or be it the BJP. It's going to be very interesting in terms of you will have, I think, various results varying from different states. For example, in my home state of Mizoram, you actually had the Congress teaming up with a new regional outfit, which is the ZPM. And they went against the MNF, saying that, the MNF is part of NEDA, it's part of the NDA, and they took advantage of the anti-citizenship amendment bill protests. But on polling day, what I actually found was that the Citizenship Amendment Bill wasn't really too much on voters' mind, interesting. It was more on the quality of the candidates that these various parties put up for the Lok Sabha elections. So it's a very difficult election to read, especially given that, the MP elections usually don't have that much of enthusiasm from common voters when you compare it to MLA elections. So this time, for example, we had 80% voting in the MLA elections. But when it came to the MP elections, we just had about 60%, just roughly over 60%. So that makes it very difficult to read.
Deepak, Diwan, a few months before the CAB, you also had Himanta Biswa Sarma making a very big deal of the NRC process. In Assam specifically, is that something that voters continued to get moved by? Do you get the sense that something that was an issue for which he supposedly left the Congress, moved to the BJP on this bit of making sure that the rights of the Assamese, native Assamese were protected as against those that he called as having moved from elsewhere into the state? Does that sense of that became the top issue, that the BJP wasn't able to take it into the Lok Sabha election as the issue that they wanted people to vote on?
See, if you look at the NRC process, the people of Assam were so happy with the NRC process starting now after 1985, which was NRC was supposed to be part of the Assam Accord, which was signed in 1985, and it had three clauses. The main clause was deportation, deletion from the electoral rolls, and detection. Imagine 1985 till now, nothing was being done. So the government took, when this process started, the BJP said, yes, we have done it, and it was part of the plank in the Assam Assembly elections. See, the NRC became so popular, people were overwhelmed with this process, that even the states like Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, Tripura, Arunachal, everybody started demanding that NRC should be conducted in their states also. But what happened after that, when they talked about citizen bill, people outrightly rejected it. Why? Because NRC talks of deadline of foreigners of 1971, and it does not talk about Hindu or Muslim. It says only all those who have come before 71 will be accepted as citizens. And whereas the citizen bill talks only of Muslim will not be included in this, and the date for their citizenship is proposed at 2014, which is a very long period. Imagine 71 to 2014, which people of Assam outrightly reject. And that's why the Congress made this the election issue there.
Karma, I just wanted to get into one more.
Before this citizen bill, even the BJP leaders.
Sorry, please carry on.
Even
on the point
before the. Yeah, I'm saying that before the citizen bill was brought in the picture, the BJP had even claimed that out of total 25 seats, we'll be able to secure more than 21. Amit Shah himself had claimed, but I don't think they can claim it today.
Okay. Karma, I wanted to get to one more specific point about that CAB and the wording of the BJP manifesto that went up for a few hours on the day it was released, and then perhaps there was an amendment or a correction made the next day. For one day, the limited scope of what was being projected at what would be brought back to Parliament left out those of certain faiths and limited what was being proposed in the next Parliament. Would that have set some bit of the BJP support back in saying there are parts where the BJP in the northeast is very different from how it poses itself in the Hindi belt in terms of issues of what are core to the party in the Hindi belt? But did that narrow reading of the proposed CAB become something for a few days that was an issue that hurt the BJP?
You know, if I understand your question correctly, I mean, if you look at certain pockets, there are certain pockets in Assam, yes, which did welcome the CAB. There were celebrations there. But then if you look at Assam as a state as a whole, then there was widespread opposition at that time. It's incredible to see how that has changed completely now. From the time we saw a protest on the streets, from the time when there was complete Bandh in Guwahati and surrounding areas, to the time now, you know, post when the campaigning was going on, it suddenly vanished from the minds of people. I mean, it's very interesting. That's why it is, yes, as Adam says, very difficult to reach the voters on the ground. And when we sent out our reporters on the ground, again, the issues were, you know, local issues of infrastructure, issues of what they want from the government, issues of water. So a lot of these issues were playing on the mind, but CAB had suddenly vanished from the minds of the people. Very interesting to see that. Now, whether it will really play here in this election or not, I don't think so. I don't think CAB will play any role in this election.
Okay. Adam, the fact that ASPA was partly removed from the China bordering parts of Arunachal, but not so from Manipur, the fact that you have that being attributed as the action of a central government, would that be something that voters in Manipur might hold against the Modi government right now?
In terms of a FASPA, yeah, see, it's again, it's again very difficult in terms of if you look at the tribal areas of Manipur, or even the more tribal areas of the northeast as a whole, you've seen that militancy has gone down last 5 or 6 years, and that's been across the northeast. And you have seen less of clashes between security forces and locals, and also militants as well. So a FASPA is making less and less of an impact in the minds of voters, I feel. But not being lifted from some parts of Manipur, how that plays out, I'm not really sure, because how it will also depend on if there have been any incidents closer to polls that happened. Otherwise, not lifting a FASPA might not make much of an impact. But if there were incidents and there was a feeling of injustice, then that would definitely have an impact.
Okay, I'll tell you why that question was a double-ended one. First, about how the impressions of the Modi government are right now, because in the Congress manifesto there is a repeal proposed. Do you think that was proposed more with the Kashmir voter in mind, or that of the Northeast, Adam? Therefore the question.
I think mostly, I think the uppermost, Kashmir would be uppermost in the minds of the Congress people who drafted the Congress manifesto. As I said, in Northeast, it has really died down. It doesn't mean that it has died down completely, but those feelings of us against them, that kind of feeling in terms of security forces, I think that has died down quite an extent. So yes, to answer your question, I think Kashmir was uppermost in their minds.
Deepak, Diwan, the lack of movement after the 2015 peace accord in Nagaland, how does that hold the national government instead of asking for votes this time? Is that something that's held against the centre in the fact that you had a very visible, high-profile photo op signing happening, but on ground? Implementation of that was something that wasn't necessarily something that completely followed through.
No, first of all, I would like to correct you. This was not a Naga peace accord. This was a framework agreement.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Framework means they worked out the outlines. Under these parameters, we will find a solution.
True.
And every Naga is yearning for the solution as early as possible. And every time, every election takes place in Nagaland, every party promises early solution to it. But it lies with the central government and the NSC and IM and the other 7 groups, those who are negotiating with the government.
Okay. Karma,
it's always becomes election plank for every party there.
Okay. Karma, in the build-up to the 2014 election, you saw then candidate, Prime Minister candidate, Chief Minister of Gujarat Modi, go across the region and make the scare of the Chinese influence in the region a very big issue. The fact that 5 years down, and that as the pitch to get him to power and a strong government to power, 5 years down in Sikkim and perhaps in Arunachal, were the events of Doklam or anywhere else, the fact that there is constantly a question about Chinese activity on the other side of the international border, does that become something that what Mr. Modi promised in the build-up to 2014 may be something that he might have fallen short of 5 years down when he goes to the voters?
As far as the Chinese threat is concerned, one, being a citizen of Sikkim and having, spent all my childhood there, that is one thing that always plays on your mind. Yes, China is there, they're doing great things, they're building highways, they're building roads and all. Now, as far as an election pitch is concerned, whether that will help the central government or a prime minister to come and say, look, the Chinese is going to come down hard, elect me, then I'm going to save you from the Chinese, that doesn't work that way. I think the people are confident that there is an army, the Indian army is there, securing the borders. That is one thing they want to see. So that is aside. Now in Sikkim, if you look at the political parties, the national parties never have made a dent because the people of Sikkim do not believe in the national parties. There is an out and out feeling that if the national parties come into Sikkim, then they're going to sell out Sikkim, whatever's left of Sikkim. So that is the fear that is there, and that is put by the local parties of Sikkim. So the play in Sikkim is still between the two local parties. One, the incumbent SDF, which has been in power forever now, 25 plus years, and SKM party, which is the new party which did well in the last 2014 elections also. Now this time also is, of course, they claim that they are in line to make a huge dent in Sikkim elections as far as fight with the SDF, Sikkim Democratic Front, is concerned. As far as Arunachal is concerned, yes, Arunachal, it's a pertinent issue that is there because we have seen incursions by the Chinese. It's not, the border still not been accepted. China still not accepted. So there is a gray area as far as Arunachal is concerned, and people are insecure. Of late, the government of India has gone in and they are making military installation. A lot of land has been brought by the army. Crores have been paid to the people as far as the compensation is concerned. So that has certainly helped the BJP make in-grounds into these remote locations. But also the important point to note is most of the remote locations do not have the kind of population that is needed to win an election. So, still the dent will be much lesser when it comes to the actual vote count.
Mr. Diwan, I just wanted to get a little narrow down into a few specific seats. The Congress still has some residual legacy dynasty strength in the seats held by the Gowai family, by Santosh Mohan Deb family. Do they retain that strength going into this election, or is there likely to be an organizing machine of the BJP that's likely to overpower that?
See, as our friend Karma pointed out, there are some parts of Assam, especially the Barak Valley and the Silchar particular seat where Sushmita is contesting, Santosh Mohan Dev's daughter. She is also fearing that citizen bill may get BJP more votes, because we have a lot of Hindu migrants settled there in Barak Valley. So that fear she has, and she has already expressed that. So she's having a tough fight there.
Okay. I just wanted to wind this up with something that was mentioned earlier. Both Amit Shah and I think later in a meeting that Ram Madhav did with the head of the NIDA and all other chief ministers of the state. There's a target of 21-22 that the alliance is setting from these 25 seats. I just want to get a sense of whether that's a realistic one or not, starting with you, Karma.
I do not think so. I think, Himanta Biswa Sarma, who's the convener of NEDA himself, says as far as Assam is concerned, he expects about 10 to 11 seats out of the 14. Okay. So if he gets about 10 to 11 seats there, then if he gets, maximum I'm saying 2 in Arunachal, that would still make it 13, 14, 1 in Tripura, 15. So I am looking at about, max 15 seats from the entire Northeast out of the 25.
Okay. Mr. Diwan?
Well, I think I must tell you, apart from BJP, whatever seats they can get on their own, but their regional alliance partners, they will be all fence sitters looking at Delhi's what number BJP gets to form the government in Delhi, and they can always shift their alliance to the ruling party in Delhi.
Okay. Adam,
I mean, that's what happens in the Northeast always.
Fair enough. Adam, do you see this as an alliance where the Northeast Democratic Alliance remains the primary force across much of these states, and whether they'll take a large share of these 25 seats?
No, I think BJP would probably have a larger share than the constituent alliances. But in terms of what the other panelists said, there is a very strong probability that there will be fence sitters, because Northeast has always been trying to look at who is in power in the center. It always makes political sense to be in alliance with whoever is in power in New Delhi. So that is something that can play out. But as the NDA or NEDA, I'd give maybe between 15. I don't think they'll get more than 20 seats at all.
Okay.
Roughly around 15 or slightly more, slightly less.
All right, Karma, Adam, Mr. Diwan, thank you very much for joining us. We'll get a sense of the numbers perhaps on the coming Sunday when we'll get the first round of exit polls, when all polling comes to an end. And then on the 23rd, the results of Lok Sabha election 2019. Thank you for watching.